And yeah, well, we're going to start the class now. So yeah, really, really warm welcome. And thank you all for joining us. And as I was saying a couple of moments ago, I'm aware that some of you might be joining for the first time and you might be doing yoga for the first time, which is really, really fantastic. But just be really mindful of your bodies, and yeah, if you are working with any injuries, and please don't work into anything that hurts. And if you're feeling like you're not sure, or it doesn't feel quite right, then do just listen to your body and take a rest. And I'll try to offer modifications for different levels of practice. But yeah, although this is an open level class, obviously I can't see you, and it may not be suitable for you if you're a complete beginner and you've got pre-existing health conditions, for example. But do have a go and do what you can. Okay, so yes, we are on the first day of our Road to Full Potential course, and we're going to be looking throughout the week in all of the events at the threefold way, which within Buddhism encompasses our ethical lives, our meditation practice, and also wisdom. And I'm not going to say too much about, any of these, because this is a yoga class, and throughout the week there are going to be lots of people who can, who will talk specifically on ethics, meditation, and wisdom for more than 5 minutes. But I will just say something about the title of the class, so the ethical body. So I was thinking about this. I was reflecting about this over the weekend, and then I thought, I'll see what's on Google, just to see what Google has to say about ethical body, the ethical body. So if you Google the ethical body, what tends to come up is ethical body wash, ethical body scrub, ethical clothing, and yes, so this isn't that kind of ethical body. It's not even necessarily ethical in a green way. So in Buddhism, when we talk about ethics, it's not to do with being necessarily environmentally friendly. Really, it's to do with our actions. It's the way that we choose to live our lives. Within a Buddhist context, within the context of Buddhist ethics, this is about moving towards acting in a way that is kind, that is generous, truthful, mindful, and content. So within the context of a yoga practice, well, really, you can look at this in two ways. So firstly, in practicing yoga, we're practicing cultivating a greater, kind of deeper understanding of our own bodies, it's a deeper relationship with ourselves and how the body works. And we're also cultivating resilience, strength, and sort of softness and ease as well. And you might experience that after practicing yoga, or if you've been practicing yoga for a while, it may start to kind of heighten your ethical sensitivities outside of the practice of yoga as well. And yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about that. And we're just going to practice the class, but I would invite you to just look upon this time, look upon this practice, your practice, as a kind of a positive act that you're doing to cultivate positive mental states, and to cultivate a kind of positive body image and positive awareness of yourselves. So we're going to start today by lying down on our backs. And if you didn't hear me a few minutes before the class started, if you've got some kind of block or small cushion to hand, then just have that handy. And then make your way down onto your backs and have the soles of the feet down flat. So just rolling down onto your back. And when you get there, just draw the chin a little bit down towards the chest, so you're lengthening out through the back of the neck. And then if your knees feel like they're kind of flopping this way and that, then you can just bring them together. So your feet about hip distance apart, your knees can come together. And then just have the palms facing up. And if it feels okay, if it feels comfortable, then you can close down your eyes. And just taking a moment to come into stillness and doing your best to just lessen external stimulus by just letting the eyes close. And knowing that for the next little bit of time, for the next sort of 40 minutes or so, we're going to be doing our best to just focus the attention on what's going on in the body, to come into relationship with the breath. And broadly, just focusing on doing just that. So bringing as much of ourselves to the practice as we can. Just start by noticing the points of contact between your body and the ground. So the back of the body and the pelvis, the back of your head. And then noticing the parts of the body that rise up away from the ground. And then notice that as you breathe here, the chest, the belly might rise a little bit on the in-breath and soften a little bit on the out-breath. And just let the breath be easy, be relaxed. Okay. And then from here, just slide your arms out so that they're in a kind of T position, hands level with the shoulders. And if you don't have space for that, then you can bend your elbows. And then without grabbing the knees, just bring the knees into the chest. So keep the arms out wide, but bring the knees into the chest. And then sort of draw the knees a little bit more in. So you're just kind of using the strength of the abdomen here, the weight of the legs. And then cross your ankles. Separate the knees a little bit so you've made a kind of diamond shape. And then you're just going to start to let the knees go a little bit over to the right and then up to center and then a little bit to the left. So we're just starting to warm up, just gentle movements. Don't worry about getting your knees down to the floor just yet. We'll do that in a moment. So they can be quite a small movement, and just try to tune into the movement through the pelvis. So you'll kind of rock to one side of the pelvis and the other half of the pelvis will lift off the ground. And then we go the other way. Just take a couple more of those. And just notice whether your shoulders are becoming kind of tense or they're jamming into the floor. Can you try and keep the shoulders and the arms quite soft? Okay, and then come back through center and just shimmy your hips a couple of inches towards your right-hand side. So they just slightly go off at an angle. And then let your knees come down over to the left-hand side. So we're coming all the way over into a twist now. So knees all the way down to the left. And if the knees don't come all the way to the ground, then you can place your block or your cushion underneath your bottom knee. And then again, just make sure that the shoulders and the arms are nice and relaxed, nice and soft. And take a nice deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Good. And then make your way all the way back through center. And then go the other way. So just shift the hips a little bit over to the other side, over to the left. Take the knees down towards the right. And yeah, uncrossing the ankles. And again, you might need support underneath that bottom knee. Shoulders are nice and soft. Just take a deep breath in and a long breath out. And then making your way all the way back through center. And this time, take the hands to the knees and give them a bit of a squeeze, a little rock side to side. And then you're going to separate the knees, so you make a kind of butterfly shape with the knees, and then making big circles with the knees, so drawing them together and then apart. So 2 big circles, hand on each knee. And then just change the direction of the circles, so just working into the hip joints. And the circle's as big as feels appropriate for your body. Good. And then knees are going to come all the way into the chest. And then we're going to separate the knees again, so you make a kind of diamond shape. And this time, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. And then flex your wrists, if that feels okay. So flex the wrists as though you're trying to press your hands against the ceiling. Then we're going to do a little core exercise here. So I'd like you to start to lift the head and lift the shoulders away from the ground. So if you're familiar with crow posture, Bakasana, this is like Bakasana crow posture on your back. So you're going to try and get your knees to touch some part of your arms, trying to draw the knees in towards the armpits. And then a little bit, squeeze the knees in towards one another, so you're resisting your arms. Try and keep breathing, try and keep the face soft. And then slowly come all the way down, hug the knees in. And just roll the head this way and that a couple of times. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. So the knees separate, so you make a kind of diamond shape there. Reach the arms up, and then flexing into your wrists. And then lift the head and shoulders. So if you like, it's like the elbows are touching the insides of your knees. And you're making your back as round as you possibly can. And notice whether you stop breathing here. Let's take one more breath in. Lift a little bit higher. Good. And then come all the way down. Well done. Okay. And then you're going to make your way over to your hands and knees. So you can either rock up or roll to one side. Come to your hands and knees. And I know that there was somebody who had stuff going on with their wrists. So what I'll recommend for anything where we're on hands and knees, instead of being on your hands, just come down onto your forearms instead. Yeah, so it's a pretty good alternative. Just make sure that the elbows are underneath the shoulders, and you've made a sort of box shape there, so the forearms are parallel. If your wrists are okay, if there's nothing wrong with them, then just do this first variation with the hands down. Okay, so we're going to start by rounding the back quite a lot, tucking the chin in, and sending the tailbone down towards the ground. Just pause here for a moment. So let the head really hang down low. Let the shoulder blades separate and let the upper back round quite a lot. Good. And then we'll do the opposite. So we'll come into a little back bend here. So lift the chest, look forwards, drop the belly. Good. And then again, rounding into the spine, relax the head down. Good. A few more times. So breathing in, lifting the tailbone, lifting the chest, look forwards. And then breathing out to round into your spine, relax the head. Good. One more time like that. Breathing in, lift the chest, look forward. And breathing out. Press the floor away. Good. Okay, and then come back into a neutral spine. And let's tuck the toes under from here. So again, you can do this down on the forearms or on hands and knees. We're just going to see if we can hover the knees an inch or so off the ground. So it's like you could just slide a piece of paper underneath the knees, round into the upper back. Just take a breath there. And then come down. So it's quite strong. Just come back into child's pose for a moment. So untuck your toes, slide the hands forwards, bring the forehead down towards the ground or onto a cushion. And then just take a breath into your shoulders, into your upper back. And then again, we're going to do that one more time. If that was too strong for you, then you can just come back into cat pose. Otherwise, so tucking the toes under, spread the fingers wide, press the hands down into the floor, and then just hover the knees an inch or so off the ground. Try to keep breathing. Try to keep the neck nice and long. Good. And the knees come to the ground. Well done. One more time into child's pose. So hips go back towards the heels. Slide the hands forwards, forehead to the ground. And you might just want to roll the wrists out. So make fists with your hands here and just circle the wrists round one way. And then change the direction of the circle. Good. And then this time, coming back up to hands and knees or forearms and knees. And you're going to tuck your toes under, lift the knees. And this time, press back into a downward facing dog. So your tailbone at the very bottom of your spine is going to start to lift up towards the ceiling. And you start to press the hands a little bit forwards and down into the ground. Tailbone lifting up and back. And then it might well be your first downward facing dog of the day or the week or ever. So rest whenever you need to. And I'm going to recommend for this first one that we bicycle out the knees. So bending into one knee, then the other. And try to keep the gaze quite steady. Once you've checked, if you need to look at the screen and see what I'm doing, then do that. And then see if you can let the gaze settle to between your feet. Lovely. And then let's come back onto hands and knees. Well done. We're going to come into a low level lunge from there. So step your right foot through to between your hands. Good. Untuck the back toes. And then lift yourselves up. Reach your arms up over your head. So pressing down into both of your feet, the sole of the front foot and the top of the back foot. Good. So the hands can either separate or you can bring the palms together, look up. Good. And then take the hands down towards the ground. And then let's change sides from there. So from hands and knees, left foot steps through to between your hands. Top of the back foot presses down, lifting up through the chest. And then reach your arms all the way up. Good. Let's take a couple of breaths there. Okay, and then the hands are going to come down towards the ground. Okay, so this time, your right foot's going to step forwards and then a little bit out towards the right-hand side. So you can actually turn your right toes off the mat and the right heel is going to be on the mat. And then slide your left knee slightly back so you can pad up the back knee if you need to. And you've got both hands inside the front foot. Yeah, so I hope you can see that there. And then let's try and hug that right knee in towards the right upper arm. And let the hips drop a little bit forwards and down. Keep pressing into the top of that back foot. If this feels like it's a bit too much for you, then just pad yourself up. So pad your hands up on something, which should lessen the intensity of the posture. And if you've got a little bit more range of motion, you can bring your forearms, one or both forearms, down to the floor. And try not to collapse into the upper back. So try to keep the back of the neck and the spine long. Let's take one more breath there. Lovely. And then ease yourself out and we'll change sides. So sole of the left foot comes forwards. Step the left foot out. Turn the left toes out. And then let the hips sort of soften forwards and a little bit down. Top of the back foot presses down. Pad up the back knee if you need to. And then again, you've got options. You can use something to give yourself a little bit more height, or you can walk the hands forwards and bend your elbows. And try to keep, for this variation, try to keep hugging your front knee in towards the body. And just take a couple of breaths wherever you are. So just working somewhere that is appropriate for your own body. So you don't need to worry about what anybody else is doing, especially as you can't see them. So just working in a way that is, that feels right for you. Okay. And then again, easing yourself out. Good. And then we'll come back into that downward facing dog for a moment. So lifting the knees, lifting the sitting bones, pressing the sitting bones up and back. Good. And then from there, we're going to tiptoe the feet towards the hands, and they're going to come to behind the wrists. You're going to bend your knees quite generously and just let yourself hang in a forward fold here for a moment. You might like to take hold of your elbows and just rock a little bit from side to side. And if the knees are, if the backs of the legs are really firing, then try bending the knees a little bit more. That might help. Okay, and then releasing hold of the elbows and just rolling yourselves up to standing. Try and keep the chin tucked as you come up. Head comes up last. Step to the front of your mat, and we'll just take a couple of rounds of a sun salutation sequence with lunges. So you might like to have your feet together or a little bit apart, just somewhere that you feel stable. And as you press the feet down into the floor, can you have a sense of lifting up through the spine? So you're standing tall. Good. And then as you breathe in, reach your arms up over the head. And then breathe out, come all the way down into a forward fold again. So fingertips come down towards the floor. Lovely. Look forwards and then step the right foot back. So you come onto the tiptoes and just stay there. So we're in a runner's lunge. So fingertips pressing down. Look forwards, and then as you breathe in, draw the chest forwards, back thigh nice and strong. Breathing out, come back into downward facing dog from there. So press the fingers down, lifting through the sitting bones. Yeah, take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. So knees can stay bent, or they might start to straighten. Then look forwards. And then step the right foot forwards. You can help it along its way if you need to. Come onto your fingertips. Lift the chest. Back thigh is nice and strong, high on the back foot. Step the left foot forwards alongside the right and fold in. Relax the head. Then press the feet down into the floor. Lift your arms up. Look up. And then let's do the same thing, leading with the left side. So fold forwards, relaxing the head. Look forwards. And then step the left foot down long. Come onto your fingertips. So as you breathe in, it's like you're trying to draw the shoulder heads back as the heart moves forwards. And then planting the hands down, step back into downward facing dog from there. So pressing the feet down into the floor, press the hands. And just softening into the head, softening into the back of the neck. And take a breath in. And a breath out. Good. And when you're ready, softening into your knees, look forwards. And then step the left foot forwards, coming onto the fingertips. Breathing in, draw the chest forwards. Good. And then breathing out, step the right foot alongside the left. And this time, bring your feet together, bend your knees, and then lift your arms up. Keep the knees bent. So we're coming into chair pose or Utkatasana. Try and really squeeze the knees together here. Press the feet down into the floor. If it's too much to have your arms over your head, you can bring the palms to prayer in front of the chest. Otherwise, just take a couple of breaths like this. Lengthening out through the sides of your waist, drawing the belly in. And then from here, see if you can come onto your tiptoes. Squeeze the heels in. And then we're going to come into a kind of half chair. So start to bend forwards. Keep reaching the fingertips forwards. And then a slightly unusual transition here. Fingertips come down towards the ground. And see if you can come all the way down into a seat. Any way you like. And then we're coming into boat pose. So hands to the backs of the thighs. Knees come in towards the chest. Shins are parallel with the floor. If you feel stable here, then you can reach your arms out in front. Take a big breath in. Good. And then bring the feet down for a moment. Hug the knees in. Okay, so now we're going to take the same pose that we did at the start, down on our bellies, but we're going to do it seated. So that same crow posture, quite similar to what we just did. So knees are going to hug in and then separate so you make that diamond shape. Reach your arms out in front, spread the fingers wide, flex the wrists. And as you try to press the arms a little bit out, squeeze the knees in. And take a couple of breaths. So the spine is really, really round here. Lovely. And then from there, hug the knees in. Cross your ankles. See if you can roll over your feet and draw back into a downward facing dog from there. Well done. And if you found that a bit challenging, then that's because it is quite challenging. So don't worry if you did find that a bit hard. Okay, from here, this time, rock your way forwards into high plank. And again, you can be doing all of this down on the forearms if the wrists are giving you trouble. So we're in a plank position, spreading the fingers nice and wide, drawing the belly in. Take the knees to the ground, and then lower yourselves with control all the way down to the floor. Untuck your toes. Press the hands down into the floor, hands are underneath the shoulders, and then come up into a cobra pose. So squeeze the elbows in, lift and broaden the chest. Back of the neck nice and long. Take a breath. And then on your out breath, slowly lowering all the way down to the ground. Tuck your toes under and press yourselves back, coming into a downward facing dog from here. Spread the fingers out wide. Okay. And then from here, let's step the right foot forwards to between the hands. This time, keep the back knee lifted and step the back foot slightly in. Then we're going to come all the way up to standing. Take the hands onto your hips. So you've got two straight legs and about sort of one leg's distance between your two legs, if that makes sense. So your hips are facing the short edge of your mat. And both legs are pretty straight. Both heels are down on the floor. And you're going to take your hands to behind your back and either grab a hold of opposite elbows, or if you've got a bit more range of motion, you can bring the palms together behind the back in a reverse prayer position. And then as you press the feet down into the floor, lift the chest, draw the elbows back, and then slowly start to lean forwards. Think about hinging from the hips here as you lean forwards. And that front knee can soften a little bit. That's a really good option. Keep pressing into both of your feet. Try to keep breathing. And if you've got a bit more range, you can lean a little bit further into the posture. Good. And then press into both of the feet and come all the way up. Okay. And then from here, hands are going to come onto your hips. We're going to come into a balancing posture. So lift the back heel up and then start to draw that left knee in towards the chest. Right leg is straight. Good. And then, so we're going to do eagle legs. You're going to cross the right thigh over the left, and then both knees start to bend. So you've got a couple of options here. You can either take the left toes to the floor outside the right foot, or you might be able to double wrap. So you hook the left foot outside the right ankle. Good. And then for today, let's just bring the hands together in front of the chest. And if you feel stable, if the gaze is steady and you're stable, you can start to sink down into the posture a little bit more. So the tailbone moves back and the chest moves forwards. Good. And if you're falling over, if you're wobbling, then don't worry. It means that you've got reflexes, which are very good things to have. Just try your best and come back into the posture when you can. Okay. And then coming all the way back up. And just come to standing for a moment. Just register your two legs. Notice if they feel any different from one another. Then we're going to do those two postures on the second side. So this time, step the right foot back. So you've got two straight legs. So we're coming into this straight leg forward fold here. Hands can come onto your hips just to make sure that they're both facing forwards. And then take the hands to behind your back. So again, either taking hold of your elbows or the hands are going to come into reverse prayer. Draw the elbows a little bit back behind you. Press both feet down into the floor. And then start to hinge forwards. So leading with the chest. And notice how there's a tendency to want to really round into the back. So try to keep thinking about lengthening out through the sides of your waist and drawing that right hip slightly forwards, the left hip crease slightly back. Good. Just notice if you're still breathing or if you've stopped. Lovely. And then pressing into both of your feet, come all the way back up. Release the hands, take them onto your hips. And then again, we're going to step forwards, bring the right knee up in towards the chest. Good. And then cross the right thigh over the left. Either the toes come down to the floor, or you can do a little double wrap. Ooh. You might find that one side is more challenging than the other of the balance. If you feel stable, hands can come into prayer in front of the chest. And then again, you can start to sink the hips a little bit back as the crown of the head moves forwards. So you're kind of folding in over yourself. Well done. Couple more breaths. Good. And then slowly, slowly coming all the way out. Very good. And I'm going to step to face you guys so that you can see what I'm doing. So step your feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart, and then turn your toes out. And this is when your block might be a little bit handy. We're going to come down into a squat position from here. So start to sink the hips down towards the heels. And if you find that that's not possible to do without the heels lifting up, no problem. Just take some kind of support underneath the heels so they are supported. And try to let the knees come out towards the sides. Don't let them knock in towards one another. So I can get my heels to the floor. So I'm going to demonstrate like that. So heels down on something solid. Take the elbows in towards the knees and then bring the hands together in front of the chest. And if you feel like you're rounding forwards and down, try to lift the chest up, thumbs to sternum, knees out to the sides. Good. Just take a couple of breaths here. Okay. And then when you're ready, take the fingertips down to the ground and come back into a seated position. And we're just going to repeat the reclined crow posture one more time. So hug the knees into the chest, inner edges of the feet together. Knees are going to go wide. Arms are going to reach out in front, like you're pressing against a wall in front of you. Spread the fingers. Round the upper back. And really feel that action of trying to glue the thighs towards the ribs. Good. And then slowly come down, hug the knees in. Okay, so you're either going to repeat that posture, or we're going to come into practicing the full version of Bakasana crow posture. So if you like, you can take one of your blocks or cushions or whatever it is. And you're going to step onto the cushion or whatever. Good. And then lift, this time lifting the heels up and coming into this little crouching position. Good. And then if your wrists are feeling okay, then you're going to take the hands a little bit in front of the shoulders, spread the fingers out wide, and notice how the thighs are kind of glued onto the ribs. Try to keep that, and then try to draw the knees in towards the upper arms. And then bend your elbows, lean forwards. And you might find that one of your feet can lift up off the ground. And then you can place the toes of that foot down and then change sides. And you might find that both of the feet can lift off the floor. Try to look forwards instead of down. And when you're done having a little play, then we'll all come back into that little squat position. Knees out wide. Thumbs press into the sternum, lift the chest. And you might like to just close down your eyes. If you're still playing around with that arm balance, then you can take your time. Good. And then everybody just coming down into a seated position from there. Well done. Okay. And then from there, just interlace your fingers and press the heels of the hands away from you. So press the palms away. And then reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Keep the interlace. Good. And then release the hands, take them to behind your back. Again, interlace the fingers. This time, stretch the knuckles back. Lift the chest up. So you've got your hands clasped. This time, heels of the hands together. Chest nice and broad. Good. And then releasing the hands. Come into a twist. So take your left hand across to your right knee. And your right fingertips are going to go to the floor behind you. And then just start to rotate the chest around towards the right-hand side. Both sides of the neck, both sides of the waist are nice and long. Good. And then go the other way. So just switching sides. Left hand, right hand comes across. Left fingertips to the floor behind you. Rotate the chest. And breathing in, lengthening through the spine. And breathing out. Just drawing the chest a little bit more around towards the left. Good, and then come through center. We'll just take one more posture here. Just coming into a side stretch. So walking the right hand out from the right hip. Press the right hand down. Reach the left arm up. And then come over into a side bend. So just lifting and reaching that left arm over so it's in line with your ear. And then I quite like to just look down towards the ground and as I lean over to the side. Good. And then coming all the way up through center, take it to the other side. So left hand comes down, right arm reaches up, and then lean over into a side bend. So you might find that you can get your forearm all the way to the floor, or it might be lifted away from the floor. Just trying to make sure that there's no tension through the neck, through the face. Good, and then come all the way back up. And just come to lying down on your backs again. So back where you started, soles of the feet down flat. This time, walk the feet in so that you can just about touch the heels with your fingertips. And as you press your feet down into the ground, start to roll up. So we're coming into bridge pose here. So really think of engaging the backs of the legs here. as you press the pubic bone up towards the ceiling. You can keep the hands where they are, or you can interlace them underneath the body and stretch the knuckles towards your feet. Try to keep the breath flowing here. Just taking one more breath here. And then gently, slowly rolling yourselves all the way down to the floor. Good. And then we'll come into a reclined pigeon pose. So cross your right ankle over your left knee. So you're making a kind of figure 4 stretch. And some of you, this might be where you stay. You might already be feeling quite a lot of sensation here. Or you can start to bring the left knee in towards the chest, interlace the hands around the back of the left thigh. Draw the left knee in. And it might feel nice to just sway from side to side a little bit. And then when you're ready, you can change sides. So either just staying with the right foot down on the floor, or bring the right knee in towards the chest, interlace the hands around the back of the thigh. Just create a little bit of resistance to yourself. So as you draw in that right knee, think of lengthening the left knee out towards the side, out towards the left and away from the body. Couple of breaths. Good, and then gently releasing. And we'll just end with a reclining butterfly, Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees out wide. Take the hands onto the front of the body, or have them alongside you. Closing the eyes. Again, just connecting in with that sense of the parts of the body in contact with the floor. And the parts of the body that rise up away from the ground. The breath in the chest, in the belly. And then just sliding the legs out long. So coming down to final resting pose. Take the arms out alongside you. Just allowing the face to soften. And just letting the body absorb the practice. Can you allow yourself this time to just do nothing, to just lie here? So if you're able to stay longer lying down, then I thoroughly recommend that. But if it's time to move on, we're approaching the end of the timed class, so you can just start to gently move, perhaps wiggling through the fingers and the toes, taking the head from side to side. And we did a fair amount of core work of engaging the front of the belly in that class. So it might feel nice to just counter that by stretching the arms over the head, pointing the toes, and just letting the lower back lift off the ground. So you're arching the back. And then when you're ready, you can roll over to one side and come all the way up to seated. You can keep the eyes closed here for a moment, if you like. And I'm going to end by just reading a few lines from, well, they are the ethical precepts that as Buddhists we take when we say that we are committing to being Buddhist. So I'm just going to read these out. You might like to close your eyes, sit in meditation, and just let them land. So these are the positive precepts, the positive ethical precepts. With deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With truthful communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness clear and radiant, I purify my mind. Okay, so that's the end of the class. Thank you to everybody who joined, and I hope to see you at lots of the events that are going to be happening throughout the week as part of our Road to Full Potential course. You can still sign up for that. Head to our website and you can pop in your email address and we can send you all the details for that. And yeah, so we do very much operate on this culture of generosity here at the London Buddhist Centre. So we give these teachings freely, and we rely on donations to keep the activities of the centre running. So if you'd like to take part in that culture of generosity, if you'd like to donate to us, then we've got a Just Giving page, the link to which is also under this video. So if you feel called to do so, then we really appreciate anything that you can give. So I hope that you all have a wonderful week, and thank you to Polly for moderating and filming, and hope to see you at another event very soon. Bye.